I am the Faith Liaison with the Office of Community Partnerships. The mission of the Office of Community Partnerships is to strengthen relationships between Montgomery County government and the residents it serves, with a special focus on underserved and emerging communities and our neighbors in need. The OCP serves as a bridge builder between the county government and community organizations serving the residents of this county. We're here today in response to the fear that our faith and community groups are experiencing in being targeted in acts of hate based off of race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, and other discriminatory factors. We want our faith and community members in Montgomery County to know that we are passionate about standing alongside those communities in fear of attack, and we will not tolerate acts of hate and discrimination. Today, we will hear from faith and community leaders about their experiences in Montgomery County, as well as from other county agencies offering programs and resources to deter hate crimes, including our security grant program, a rare program and potentially the only one provided at the county level in the country. This grant is even more important given that our federal security grants have been put on pause. Amongst those county agencies speaking today are the Montgomery County Police Department, Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, the Office of Human Rights, and some of our elected officials. I'm so proud to work for a county that values supporting our diverse faith communities and nonprofits. We are not only the most diverse county in the nation, but we're also the most religiously diverse county in the whole nation as well, according to the Public Religion Research Initiative. While we are proud of our diversity, our communities are not immune to hate and deserve the support of our county government. While we know that those acting out of hate are a minority, resources such as this security grant are essential to provide support until we can ensure that this county is a safe and a welcoming place for all, no matter the race, religion, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation of anyone who lives in this county. I want to thank our county executive for his support of this grant and our county council as well. This grant would not be possible without their initiative and without the support of our county agencies who put this idea into action, especially the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. I want to thank Lisa Mantell for her work implementing and leading this program and dedication to supporting those in need of this grant. Before handing the program off to our county executive, I want to briefly share about some resources besides this grant that are available to those who have experienced potential hate in our county. We host quarterly House of Worship security trainings open to all. Our next one takes place on April 8th at 7 p.m. and will be in East County. You can email interfaith@montgomerycountymd.gov to register and learn more. And there is a poster there. We have grants in place for those that are the victims of potential hate crimes through our Committee Against Hate Violence. The Partnership Fund was created to support victims of hate crimes and incidents. Individuals and institutions may be eligible under county law for reimbursement of property damages or medical expenses. For more information, you can email human-rights.administration@montgomerycountymd. We recently launched our Hate Bias online portal where individuals can report the hate-based incidents, also having the option to call 311 to speak to someone directly. You can remain anonymous while reporting or provide contact information if you would like to have somebody follow up with you. You can access the portal using the QR code on the middle poster here. Federal grants are on pause, but the opportunity to apply for state grants is open until May 9th. The Protecting Against Hate Crimes grant program is to provide support to nonprofit organizations, including faith-based institutions, with facilities and membership that can be targeted for a hate crime. You can apply for additional security enhancements through this program. To stay updated on federal grants and if they will reopen, you can reach out to FEMA or visit their website, or you can subscribe to Faith Community Advisory Group emails by visiting faithmcmd.org. I hope one day we will not have to rely on these services to live in a place that is safe and welcoming for all. But until that day comes, these services are not just helpful, but a necessity in ensuring a safe and welcoming county. So first, we're going to hear from our elected officials, starting with County Executive Mark Elrich, followed by Council President Kate Stewart, and County Council Member Andrew Friedson. So without further ado, County Executive Mark Elrich.
So I want to thank everybody in attendance today, the County Council, the County Police Department, Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, and the Office of Human Rights, and everybody else who's concerned about this event, about this issue. Basic details about the grant program. It's the second year in a row that we've committed $1.2 million toward the security grant program. In FY24, the County Council and I also made a total of $1.2 million available to faith-based organizations and nonprofits. This is the fourth year of this program. And my proposed FY26 budget will continue funding these grants. Funding to be used for hiring security personnel or augment current security personnel, pay for security assessment or plan, conduct security training, develop and execute a security drill, and purchase new security cameras for their facilities. And this year, something that's new, funds can also be used to purchase, it's called a Fusus core device to enable camera integration into the MCPD system. So this is something people have been asking about, and I'm happy to see this here. It is unfortunate that we need these grants. There was a time when we didn't need these grants. Unfortunately, this is not that time. The Montgomery County Department of Police 2024 annual report on bias incidents shows why these grants are needed. The report revealed 45% of the bias incidents reported involved some type of verbal intimidation, 11% were written intimidation, and 11% involved simple assault. 3 out of 4 of the 192 bias incidents reported were against religion or race. And out of 94 incidents involving religion, most of them were anti-Jewish. 53 of those incidents involved anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian language or imagery. 7 vandalism incidents involved swastikas. 49 incidents involved race, and about half included the use of a racial slur commonly associated with persons of color. In 2024, the MCPD investigated 3 reports of bomb threats. The first 2 incidents were motivated by religion. The third incident involved sexual orientation, and there was also 1 shooting threat involving gender identity. We have a commitment to providing a welcoming and safe environment, and we're not changing that. These numbers do not reflect the type of county we want to live in. Montgomery County is proud to be one of the most culturally diverse communities in the country, and we're focused on safety and security for everyone who worships, no matter what faith they are. Heightened tensions and level of civil discourse in the past several years are more, we see it, we hear it, it's there. The money from this grant helps provide immediate assistance to local organizations to invest in various security measures to protect their communities and their facilities. We received 121 applicants for this money. The request totaled more than $1.6 million, significantly exceeding the $1.2 million set aside by the County Executive and Council. 110 projects are receiving funding. Majority of the grant recipients are planning to hire security staff with the funds, often off-duty MCPD police officers, and about half of them are planning to use these funds for security cameras. For these grant recipients who will use these funds to buy security cameras, we have a new public safety program in which interested organizations can participate to link their security cameras with the police. This is a program called MoCo Connect, and that's what those Fuse things are for. You don't have to participate in the program, but this grant allows organizations to purchase a few Fuse core devices, and it's a real-time, we also have a real-time crime center platform, which allows nonprofit facilities to connect their private security cameras with the public safety teams as well. It helps police respond to critical incidents more efficiently and effectively as they're happening to support the safety of vulnerable communities here. And we'll hear more from the police department to explain how all this works. The county has launched a new hate bias incident complaint portal and a telephone hotline in December, and residents can report a hate bias incident by visiting montgomerycountymd.gov/report-hate or by calling the county's 311 call center, open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Reporting incidents is critically important for us. We can't tell people if we don't get a complaint. If you don't step forward, you pretty much guarantee that the person who harassed you has no chance of being caught and no chance of being stopped. We don't want you to do that. We want you to let us know everything you can tell us about those who harass, so we can do what we're supposed to do to make sure that they're not able to do it a second time. Reporting incidents helps our county police trends in hate bias incidents, and unfortunately, not likely that these bias incidents or hate crimes are going to decrease. There's no way that the fever and the language at the national level is going to do anything to reduce tensions in communities. If anything, they seem to be seeking to find more ways to drive people apart. As a community, we're committed, and we're going to stay committed to helping organizations that are target of hate crimes, and this funding is designed to help them reduce the burden of safety and security enhancements. Working together, we show Montgomery County does not tolerate hate of any kind in our communities, and we have to continue to stand together and push back against hate, because diversity is actually a strength. And any of us who've traveled overseas, and we've been doing these economic visits, you can see from the people we meet how much they appreciate and know about Montgomery County, and how much difference it makes to companies and people thinking about, should I locate a business in Montgomery County, how much it means when they hear from local Montgomery County residents, whether they're from Taiwan or China or from Korea or India, Vietnam, talking about why this is the right place to be. So it's important to us, it's important to our community, and I'm glad we're continuing this. And I guess I'm glad we're continuing it, but I wish we weren't. You know, I think everybody here wishes we were in a place that was peaceful enough and respectful enough that we didn't have to do this. But we have to do it. The numbers tell us we have to do it. We're going to do it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I was made a new time, afternoon, evening. Those are the times we're living in. Good afternoon. I'm Kate Stewart. I'm the president of the Montgomery County Council, and I'm glad to be here today. As an elected official, I consider one of my top priorities is to make sure residents in our community feel safe to live here, to worship as they choose, to raise a family, work, play, and put simply, to live their lives without fear. And here in Montgomery County, we are committed to fostering a climate of inclusion, connection, and compassion to ensure that our community remains safe and a welcoming place. However, as the county executive stated, we are in difficult times for many people in our community, and we are living in uncertain times. As the White House stokes fears and flames of discord, we are seeing many people in our community be fearful. We hear from residents and we feel their worry when they tell us they are scared to go to places of worship. We hear and feel the sadness and the trepidation in the voices of parents who are concerned to send their children to places. And we hear the concerns and the anger from our LGBTQ+ community who are on the receiving end of a barrage of hate from the White House right now. And we see it in our community when we have simple story times for children disrupted with hate. So as Montgomery County leaders, we're here today to say we not only hear you and feel these concerns, but we are committed to making sure here in Montgomery County we remain the community we always have been and work towards being an inclusive place where people can live their lives without fear. And so these grants are, and all the other actions we take in the county are so important, and our partners who are here and throughout the county doing this work, whether they're houses of worship or nonprofits, are essential to making sure that our residents are able to lead their lives. And I'm just glad that we are here, even in these unprecedented times, as we are seeing, as the county executive mentioned, unprecedented levels of hate and discrimination across the country. And we know, unfortunately, we're not immune to it here in Montgomery County. And I will say, while we face a number of budget challenges this year, as I said when I began this afternoon, ensuring residents can live their lives freely, openly, and without fear is a top priority and a core value here in Montgomery County that we promise we will live up to and continue working towards. So thank you for being here today. I want to also acknowledge that I have a colleague, Councilmember Katz here, who is the chair of our Public Safety Committee, and also Councilmember Lori Ann Sales. And I'm turning it over now to Councilmember Friedson, who was instrumental in helping move this program forward. Thank you.
Thank you to our council president. Thank you to council colleagues. Thank you to the county executive and for everybody for being here today. I am troubled by why we have to be here today, for what is happening in our community, in our county, and in our country. But I am deeply proud for why we are here and how we are responding to what we are seeing and what our residents, our places of worship, our ethnic and cultural institutions are facing. This is a powerful statement that our county is making, not just in words but in actions, not just in feelings but in funding, that we step up to combat hate in all its forms. That when we say Garde Bien, the county's motto, to guard well, we mean it. And we mean it in partnership with our organizations throughout our community. When we face hate, we don't retreat. We redouble our efforts to combat it in all of its forms. And that's really what this program is all about. I want to thank the county executive, thank the Chief Administrative Officer, Rich Madalino, for helping to start this and to continue this for the 4th year running. I want to acknowledge former County Executive Ike Leggett, who started a one-time program that really became the vision for what this could be, and acknowledge Ron Halber, who you'll be hearing from in a moment, who really was the key partner in the community to move this program forward, not just to support the Jewish community and the challenges that that community was facing, but to support all of our religious community organizations. Following the Tree of Life massacre, this issue really came to the forefront of how we were going to protect our places of worship so that everybody in our community could live and learn and worship freely and safely, a right that everybody in our community has. So at that time, I convened a Faith Security Town Hall with Councilmember Katz, who was then the president of the Montgomery County Council, and Councilmember Albornoz, with Chief Jones, who was then the police chief at the time, and we had a huge outpouring of a broad breadth of Montgomery County, which is, by the way, the most religiously diverse county and community anywhere in the country. And we convened at the council office building. We talked about the real palpable security challenges and fears that our residents were facing. From there became a recommendation that ultimately became a budget item that the county executive and the chief administrative officer championed for $700,000 in that budget. And then COVID hit. And we had real questions and real challenges of what we were going to fund and we weren't going to fund. And we adopted a same services budget model to be ready for the challenges that were coming. And at that time, rather than retreating from this, we redoubled our efforts. And instead of narrowing the focus, we expanded the focus. And I made a recommendation to expand it to ethnic organizations as well as religious organizations to respond to the anti-Asian hate that we were seeing in our community in the early days of COVID. And from there, we have the program that we have today that's now been funded 4 years running. And then October 7th happened, and we had huge concerns in the Jewish community, in the Muslim community, and in other communities that were under assault and under attack and in deep, deep fear of what this was going to mean for their ability to worship, their ability to learn, their ability to live their lives on a daily basis. And at that time, at the committee, I made a recommendation to expand by almost $312,000 so that we could fund in real time organizations that were in desperate and acute need of security at that time without taking away from the funding that the county executive and the council had put into the budget already. And I'll note, when I made that recommendation at the Joint Committee, it was on the eve of Kristallnacht, the 75th anniversary of Kristallnacht, when Jewish businesses in the early stages of the Holocaust were ransacked and people were dragged from their businesses and from their homes, taken to concentration camps, ultimately, many of whom were murdered. It was a powerful example of what happens when communities and county governments and local governments don't step up to address these issues, to stop them in their tracks. And it was an example of why I am proud of what we're doing, though troubled for why we are here to have to do it. So I'm just very proud to be really the only jurisdiction that has been doing this for as long as we have been doing it. I am excited by the fact that we have many local jurisdictions that are now stepping up to follow our lead in Montgomery County. In dark moments that we face, Montgomery County can and should be a light and an example to other jurisdictions around the region and throughout the country. This nonprofit security grant program is an embodiment of how Montgomery County can lead through the power of our example and live our values out loud, not just with feelings, but with funding, not just with words, but with action. So I'm just really grateful to the police department, to the Office of Emergency Management, Luke Hodgson, who we'll hear from in a moment. I want to give a shout out to his predecessor, Earl Stoddard, who is here somewhere, but Dr. Stoddard really played an integral role in the early stages of this program, has continued to be a great partner in it as well. And want to note, as you heard from the county executive, this is just one of the many things that Montgomery County is doing, is continuing to do, and is committed to fulfilling to make sure that our community is a place where everybody can live, learn, live, and worship freely and safely. I want to thank the Office of Human Rights for all of their work on these issues, as well as all of our community partners for everything they do to provide these safe and vibrant places that our community relies on each and every day.
Thank you to our elected officials for their remarks. Now we're going to hear from county agencies. First, we're going to hear from Luke Hodgson, the Director of the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, followed by Director James Stowe of the Office of Human Rights, and then followed by Captain Nicholas Bacerno of the Montgomery County Police Department. So now we're going to hear from Luke Hodgson.
Thank you, Kate. Good afternoon, everybody. As Kate mentioned, my name is Luke Hodgson. I'm the Director of the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, and our office is responsible for administering these grants. In the spring of 2024, the Montgomery County Council approved recommendations that came over from the county executive for a budget of $1.2 million that would go to the nonprofit security grant program. And that was extended to all nonprofit organizations that identified being at risk of hate or any target of hate crimes that would happen here in this county. To go over those numbers again, we received 119 applications, and many of those applications represented multiple facilities or campuses throughout the county. The request exceeded $1.6 million, so it obviously significantly exceeded the resources we had. But nonetheless, we were able to provide every entity that applied with eligible cost with some amount of money. And in most cases, a significant amount of money. 110 projects of those 119 applications are receiving the funding. And the majority of those grant recipients are using that funding to hire security and off-duty police officers to provide security during their their services. The rest of them, the majority of the rest of them, are spending that on camera devices or the camera feed that we're going to hear from Captain Bacerno about in just a few minutes. The grants range from $1,500 to $15,000 each, which was the cap that was available through this grant. And that was all based on needs and the funding availability. Given the seriousness of the crime threats at this moment and limited funding, the county had to prioritize these based on the following criteria. We put particular concern for those who clearly demonstrated serious hate crimes at their facilities or directed at their members, congregants, or their students. Special consideration was also given to those organizations that were at the highest risk on the hate crimes patterns that we noticed in Montgomery County, those with vulnerable populations, those with limited or no security measures already in place, and those in vulnerable locations within the community. As I mentioned, the funds may be used for a number of things. That includes security staffing, security assessments, planning, training and exercises, new security cameras, or, as we've mentioned, new this year, the purchase of the Fusus Core devices, which is a voluntary program that if these organizations so choose, they can share their video feed with Montgomery County Police, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Nearly half of the organizations applying for the grant this year reported direct incidents of hate. They've experienced hate already. This is not fear. This is not fear alone. This is reality for them. And they were able to articulate that they'd seen hate ranging from graffiti, vandalism, and arson, intimidation and threats aimed at their parishioners or members, online and telephone threats, white supremacist materials distributed at or surrounding their facilities, and individuals entering their facilities and directly intimidating or threatening their members or parishioners. According to the 2023 Annual Bias Report, which is the most recent one available to us, the Montgomery County Police recorded 464 bias incidents here in the county. Sadly, 284 of those, or 64% of them, took place on school properties, which is an alarming trend that we're seeing more and more in this county. Outside of the school system, there were 180 community-related incidents, which is a 68% increase from 2023. Bias crimes are notably, and they continue to be noticeably, underreported. So it's very likely and unfortunate that these numbers are actually substantially higher. Race and religion continue to be the primary bias motivators here, followed by sexual orientation and ethnicity. Most of the incidents motivated by racial bias were considered anti-black, while those that were considered anti-religious were deemed anti-Semitic. We strongly encourage, as we've all done standing up here, that all residents, all facilities, all parishioners, all members of our community do not hesitate to report any bias incidents or if you suspect any bias incident to us. Montgomery County Police, their determination has led to a number of these cases being closed, and this behavior, as the county executive mentioned, as it goes unchecked, it festers in our community and it continues to proliferate. The effect of these hate crimes on the expression of free speech is also of grave concern to us. Multiple facilities that reported vandalism of things including destruction of signage in support of the LGBTQI community, the Black Lives Matter movement, and immigrants and refugees. These institutions in their applications expressed fear in their applications that by publicly showing their support, they themselves were making themselves targets. And that to me is beyond a hate crime. That to me verges on the edge of terrorism right there, pure and simple. When people are actually changing the way they live, the way they worship, what they're free to express here in our own community, here at home. Bias incidents span this entire county. From Bethesda to Burtonsville, from Wheaton to Damascus, we have reported bias incidents. Through the Nonprofit Security Grant, the county wants to help and make sure that everyone knows that hate has no home here in Montgomery County, and it never will. These hate crimes absolutely do not represent the values of our community. With the support and the funding provided by the county executive and the county council, we're putting actions into place that will ensure that these crimes do not flourish. I want to thank a number of people here who helped make these possible. Lisa Mantell, who's in our audience today, and Mara Parker, who's back at the office, and the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security led the entire effort to propagate this information out there and then collect everything and work with all the parishioners to complete their applications. Raphael Murphy and Allie Hoy in the Office of Grants Management made this a very smooth process. Kate Chance, our faith liaison, always a partner with us. Council member Andrew Friedson, who was an early visionary, as you heard, but has also been a proponent continually for the last 4 years, and not only in continuing this going, but paying attention to the current times and adjusting our funding and our strategy to meet the evolving threat landscape that we're seeing. And then, of course, I want to thank the entire team of reviewers who reviewed those 119 applications and were able to make objective recommendations that would benefit the entire county. And lastly, of course, I want to thank the entire county council and the county executive who continue to support this and provide the resources that we need in this community so people can feel safe being who they are. Just two more things I want to mention, and some of these are reiterations, but I do want to reiterate that the county's faith community liaison and our partners in Montgomery County Police and Montgomery County Fire and Rescue will be hosting another Securing Houses of Worship training on April 8th. That will take place in East County. More information can be found on that poster, and you can follow the website to register for that. And then, as Kate mentioned earlier, this is one grant that we can point to throughout the country that is at the county level, but I do not want to minimize what's available at the state as well. So recently the state opened a program that offers $10 million to the same communities that we're targeting here in the nonprofit community, and that's called the Protecting Against Hate Crimes Grant. It's administered by the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention and Policy, but it's important that you all apply as soon as possible because those will be closing on May 9th. Those are expected to be doled out starting in July, and the period of performance is a year. So there's a couple more resources that you can leverage in addition to what you have in this county. So I'm proud to stand here today. Like everyone else has mentioned, it is unfortunate that we need to, but I'm proud to work for a county and live in a county where we're able to step forward and address these issues head on and make sure that hate has no home here. So thank you. Director Still.
Thank you so much, Director, and good afternoon, everybody. Is this on? Good afternoon, everybody. I, too, join my colleagues and our elected officials and certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here, and to our great colleague, Kate Chance, and what she's doing on behalf of our faith community. My name is Jim Stowe, Director of the Office of Human Rights, and we are engaged in the process of ensuring then that, unfortunately, if these things happen in our community, and they are happening, that we are there to provide reinforcement and support. A fund was created many years ago called the Partnership Fund, and my colleague gave some highlights of that particular fund and what it can do. But the essence of all of it was to make sure that you as an individual, you as a group, you as an organization, and our county would not ever feel alone and in solitude when you've had an incident of hate happen to you or your family or your particular organization. And so this fund was set up in a small way because we can undo what would have happened to you. What we can say, though, through the fund, the Partnership Fund I'm talking now, to at least say to you that we, in a small way, can help you maybe become a little bit more whole, W-H-O-L-E, than you were before. And so I'm pleased to share with you the fund continues. It's available to any person or organization who feels that they've been a part of this or party to an act of hate, notifying our police department first and foremost, which will allow us then to have a police report available as a reference document. And then this is a reimbursement. And so as you have to, in fact, be, again, subject to expenses where maybe vandalism might have occurred, we're able then, again, to give some substance back to you and some support. For those incidents, we can give up to $2,000, and sometimes it may involve some bodily injury, and think, hope God didn't happen to anybody. But it shouldn't happen. We can give up to $4,000 for that purpose as well. And so we're hopeful again then that if these incidents occur, please call us. Again, your first call is to our police department. But please call us and let us know what has happened, what has occurred, so we can activate this process that I just explained to all of you. We also have a number of education materials, brochures that speak to those services that I just mentioned and others that I have not yet described to you. But what it does say is this. It shares with you the definition of what a hate crime is. So many of you might not know what that is. And so we have a definition here that kind of speaks to that. And then there's a difference between a hate crime and a hate incident. And sometimes that name calling and so forth, the kinds of incidences that become just that. They are incidences. But sometimes it's a little bit more egregious. Vandalism and those kind of things might then rise to the level of actually being a crime that you, in fact, can be convicted of. And so it's critically important then that we get that information out there and begin to educate our community about these kinds of tasks. And the thing I want to say mostly is this as well. What steps can you take? Let me just say this. I am just thrilled to death that our particular county, leading the way, by the way, as Kate has indicated, only one in the country who has done this kind of work and this kind of affirmation of their support. Now it's time for those of us who are in the community to step up and then be engaged in this process as well. And I think that's really where the opportunities are. So here's some things that you can do, I can do, Speak up. Speak up. Hate is only attacking the entire community that's being boosted up by what's happening nationally. Can't do anything about that necessarily, but we can do something about what's happening here in Montgomery County. Talk with school officials if you hear your young people come home then with some issues of concerns that they may have. Call it out. Call it out. Even if it's in your own family, call it out. Discuss hate. I know it's not a topic that is necessarily dinner entertainment or dinner conversation, but nonetheless, we have to talk about it and make really sure that people understand very clearly that it is not acceptable in our community. It's not acceptable activity on anybody's part against any group. Coalesce with others who feel like you do. Start a neighborhood watch group. Have folks, again, who come together and coalesce around these ideals that we talk about and move into action beyond that. And sometimes, yes, even with our very educated officials, and sometimes we got to share with them our thoughts and concerns about what's happening in our individual communities. So we want to always educate and let our elected officials know what's going on. And lastly, those of you from the media today, contact you. Contact the media and let them know what's going on and use them as, again, a resource. The concern I continue to have is not so much the issue that's been raised about fear and those kind of things. I remember very, very well what most concerned us in the olden days, as we say sometimes, not too old anymore because some of the things are still happening to us even today. But it was intimidation. Intimidation. It crippled my community growing up. And that's what's starting to happen here in the county. Fearful for going to worship, yes. But intimidation means then that you don't even think about it anymore. And that to me is where the real opportunity for us then to reassure, to uplift, and make real, real clear that not only is the rhetoric, again, to be one, for instance, that we suggest our ideals, but rather not only the action, but that we are engaged on a daily basis with the opportunities for folks to understand clearly that this is not just some sort of title, some sort of recent sort of political phrase that we're talking about. This is the way we live. This is the way we live. And I'll paraphrase very quickly here. Dr. King said in his words, the most egregious thing that we encounter is not the ongoing violence of those who do evil, but it's about the loud and boisterous silence of those who do nothing. Thank you very much. Officer?
Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Captain Nicholas Pacerno, and I am the director of the Montgomery County Police Department Special Operations Division. And in my portfolio at SOD are two programs, one of which is our Drone as First Responder program, and the other is our RDIC, our Real-Time Intelligence Center. And both of those programs are predicated under the concept that police officers in the field, armed with the most accurate and most up-to-date intelligence, can have safer and better informed outcomes, which improves police response and improves community safety. So for this program, one of the ways that we provide better information into our Real-Time Intelligence Center is through our MoCo Connect program. There's more information on our website, www.mococonnect.org. And MoCo Connect is a voluntary program by which all residents and all businesses and all members of the community can either register and indicate their location has cameras and provide information on who to contact should there be an event nearby, or in circumstances to integrate their cameras. And we integrate cameras or share the feeds real time with the police department through what are called Fusus core devices. We partnered with a company called Axon. They have a product called Fusus that allows us to put a small device on someone's camera network if they so choose, and that video feed will be shared with us in real time. Again, it's a voluntary system, voluntary program, but what it allows us to do is mainly two things. One of which is, most importantly, if there is unfortunately a active assailant event at a location, we would have real-time information on what is happening live so that officers can make a better informed and better tailored response. And secondly, if a hate crime were to occur at a location, we can go back and see what happened, provide a more intelligent, more informed response to that event so that we can quickly make an apprehension in those circumstances. So what we have done in partnering with OEMHS is we have added the Fusus Core as one of those items eligible for purchase under this program, so that if there is a nonprofit that wants to purchase one of these devices and they do choose to share out their video feed with us, this provides them an opportunity and a vessel to do so. Again, it's a completely voluntary program, but there are many organizations in the community that feel scared. They want to be able to provide information to us in real time, and this is a way that we can do it. So I want to thank the Office of Emergency Management for being receptive to adding this element to the program. I also want to thank the county executive and our elected leaders in the county council for not only supporting this program, but supporting all the police department integration and information sharing programs. I think we have shown, both through DFR and through our Arctic programs, that we can be a national leader in developing programs that have transparency but also are effective in providing information to officers on reducing crime in real time. So I appreciate you all for being here today, and thank you.
Thank you, Captain Paserno, and to all of our directors of our various departments for supporting this work. Next, we're going to hear from some community leaders, some of the grant recipients, and some of the advocates of this grant. First, we're going to hear from Ron Halper, the Executive Director of the Jewish Community Relations Council. Then we're going to hear from Rahat Hussein, who is the Community Liaison for Idara Ejafiria. And then we'll hear from Reverend Laura Norvell with Faith United Methodist Church. And after Reverend Norvell speaks, we'll open it up to the press for questions. Ron?
Thank you, Kate. It's always hard to follow a preacher, especially such a good one. And by the way, the program that the captain mentioned is something that the Jewish community is actively looking to participate in, since many of our institutions around the nation have been, unfortunately, situations where there's been a hostile incident, and the idea to get eyes on the ground in real time while a situation is happening can truly lead to the avoidance of unfortunate casualties. So again, my name is Ron Halber. I'm director of the Jewish Community Relations Council of Greater Washington. And this is the day annually when I remember how fortunate I am to live and work and to raise my family in this wonderful, beautiful mosaic of a county, and how blessed we are to have community leaders and elected officials who understand the importance of a commitment to diversity, but also to protecting that diversity and ensuring that people, regardless of their faith or background, feel safe. This program started several years ago, and it started because it was something very simple. Anti-Semitism was rising out of control, bigotry was out of control, whether it was against somebody's race, against their religion, against their sexual orientation. It frankly didn't matter, because those same numbers that were skyrocketing then continue to skyrocket now. And we know from history that in order to go ahead and that the most effective way of preventing an incident from occurring is to have an armed officer on site to serve as a deterrence to those who would do harm. When the attack on the Los Angeles JCC occurred back in 1999, they attacked the JCC because they first went to a synagogue, saw 2 police cars, and went on to the next facility. We know this is true. But for many synagogues and other houses of worship, which are already just trying to maintain their budgets, these are not institutions that are raising money hand over fist, the idea of trying to provide an additional layer of security, of providing money for security, is very, very expensive. Paying police officers, paying for capital items. Paying for capital items became a little bit easier because 20 years ago there was a national program established that allowed it on the federal level. And also there's about 3 grant programs on the state level in Maryland that allow that. But Montgomery County rose and did something unique. It allowed for these funds to be used for operating costs. There's only so many cameras you can buy. There's only so many bollards you can purchase. There's only so much shatterproof window film you can put up to prevent the shards from a bullet from being fired through the window to go ahead and protect you. But that police officer standing in front is that #1 deterrent to incidents. And for many synagogues and other houses of worship, without this funding, they wouldn't be there. And they know that with this consistent source of funding, they at least have the opportunity every year to apply to do so. and that is a tremendous source of reassurance. $20,000, divide that by the amount of dollars that off-duty police officers are paid, or an off-duty armed security guard, that's a lot of security. Not that a lot of houses of worship and synagogues and others don't have to also do. At my synagogue, we pay a security tax, in essence, a couple $100 per family to go ahead and to Maine. Unfortunate but true. I'm the first one who wishes that this $1.2 million was not necessary. I wish it will go. I hope the program evaporates at some point. There's no need. I want it to go to feeding the hungry and helping the homeless and to provide the social service safety net, which our county is so famous for. I don't want this money. Unfortunately, though, we need this money because the obligation of government and their first responsibility is to protect their citizens. So this is a manifestation of this. So not only did the leadership of this county go ahead and see the need for this program ahead of everybody else, the first local jurisdiction in the United States to do so, that we know of, but secondly, also to allow the flexibility of the money to be used for operating for the hiring of security guards, because the federal and state government don't want to commit themselves long-term. But at least in our county, you have the opportunity to do so. And as a result of the county's leadership on this matter, the state of Virginia adopted a similar program. And after that, D.C. adopted one. But it was Montgomery County that led the way. And this was only due to the leadership of our county executive and Councilmember Friedson and Councilmember Katz and Councilmember Albornoz and the continued leadership of Kate Stewart, our council president, that has allowed this to happen. So again, I'll conclude and say we are very fortunate to live in a county where we look upon diversity as a strength of our social fabric, where we look upon the diversity of people's belief as a value that we all want to respect, and that we put the funds behind our actions to go ahead and defend the values that we cherish most. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Rahat Hussain, and I'm the community liaison for the Idara Jaffrey on Burtonsville, Maryland. Idara was founded in 1990 as a community center for the Shia Muslim community. It hosts a lot of exciting individuals who have contributed to the fabric of American society. It provides year-round religious programming to thousands of families in the Maryland, D.C., Virginia communities. And its members have accomplished great things in our society. We have one of the top biosecurity experts in the United States who helped direct New York City's COVID response as part of our community. We have a former White House senior climate policy advisor as part of our community. We have prominent journalists, policy experts, and world-renowned neonatal surgeon. We have multiple Fortune 500 C-suite executives and business founders who have founded a combined $100 million net worth of businesses throughout the United States. Our youth attend elite institutions like Harvard, Stanford, New York University, Wharton, Georgetown Law, Brown, Yale, and of course some of the best schools in the world at the University of Maryland, its various campuses. And these accomplishments are not exceptions. They're endemic of our community, of our focus on scholarship, on community participation, civic engagement, and service. We want to express our significant and sincere gratitude to Montgomery County for the nonprofit award this year. With special thanks to County Executive Mark Elrich, the Montgomery County Council, the Office of Grants Management, Montgomery County Police Department, Kate Chance, and the Office of Community Partnerships, and the County Office of Human Rights. The grant for us is not of symbolic or abstract value. It is material, immediate, and necessary. Because there are threats to our community that are not hypothetical. In 2023, we received a bomb threat. It was a swatting attack against our against our center, where it occurred during Friday prayers. In 2024, we received violent threats at the center from individuals who are out of the state. Congregants in our community have been harassed on the street. And another Shia mosque in Montgomery County, people were harassed and attacked where one individual's hijab was pulled off of her head. And so this grant directly addresses these threats, and enables us to protect our community. We'll be installing modern surveillance technology, upgrading access control, building security infrastructure, and training our staff and members about how to respond to security issues and provide our volunteers information on emergency response protocols. The funding allows us to respond not with silence, but with action, resilience, and preparedness. And it affirms to us that Montgomery County stands with communities under threat, and that every house of worship, regardless of faith, deserves safety and dignity. And these efforts are essential for our community, for Montgomery County, for the Muslim community, for all religious faith communities, to create and maintain a secure and safe environment where people can peacefully pray, gather, and worship without fear. And Idare Joffrey, I think, is a reflection of what American success looks like. And it's what it looks like when communities are given the resources they need and the freedom and security to thrive. It's a story of Muslim success in America, grounded in faith, education, service, and contribution. But none of this success happens in a vacuum. All of the different people I mentioned, all of the different youth and business and community leaders that have grown from our community, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's because of the support and resilience of the Montgomery County community. The security grant from Montgomery County is more than just protection. It's a statement that the Muslim communities belong, that our safety matters, and that our future is worth investing in. We are committed to continuing with that future, serving our neighbors, raising our children with confidence, and contributing to the county with pride. Thank you very much.
Greetings. I'm Reverend Dr. Laura Norvell. I'm the pastor at Faith United Methodist Church on Montrose Road in Rockville. I also have the good pleasure of being a neighbor in Burtonsville to Idare Joffrey, living right behind it. And so there's a fun resonance about what I'm going to say about my community and what you just said about your community here. At Faith, we understand that our space is a gift from our Creator, and it's important to us that we use our space to contribute to a sense of belonging and full inclusion for our community. From June 30th to September 2nd last year, we experienced 12 escalating incidences of vandalism, beginning with the stealing and destruction of our pride flag, and including vandalism of our sign, which faces Montrose Road and is often a source of contention with our community, and to our building directly and our memorial garden, where we actually have people interred. When our property was vandalized, it was actually members of our neighborhood around us who proclaimed loudest the importance of their family's sense of worth and belonging. And attacks on our signs and our symbols of full inclusion for LGBTQ folks felt like attacks on their wholeness. We're grateful for the thoughtful and attentive response of county police officers. We're grateful for a rapid connection from Councilmember Stewart's office. We're also grateful for financial resources that make it possible now for us to install security equipment, specifically many cameras. And when everything is installed, we will be able to monitor our entire property. It helps our congregants to feel safe and secure as they gather in what they consider to be sacred space. But beyond that, our property serves almost as park space, a point of access between Montrose Road and our abutting farmland community. It's a place where families walk their dogs. It's a place for kids to learn to ride their bikes and eventually park cars. It is a place where we have a community garden that serves our community. So we're grateful for the county support that makes it possible for us to continue to provide a gathering space where people can be their fullest selves. Thank you so much.
Thank you to our faith and community leaders for sharing their experiences. Now we're going to open up to the press for any questions they may have for any of our speakers or county agencies.
Hi. I think Mr. Halber referenced that this is like an annual thing at this point. I think this is my third time. I was curious. I don't know if Mr. Hodgson would be the right person would be to answer this, but I'm curious kind of how over time these grants are being distributed to ensure that the groups and the facilities that are benefiting from this and need that continued security are still getting that, but also that new groups who are learning from the program are also being able to get these grants. How is that kind of divided or broken up?
It's an excellent question. We do have a number of facilities and community organizations that apply year after year. And then we have some that are introduced to it for the first time on any given year. That's part of our consideration in the calculus that goes into it is how many resources have been allocated in the past. So there are times when they can articulate that they don't have any particular security measures that they can put in place. They have no means by which that they can acquire security presence during their services. In those cases, those folks are scored higher and they're allocated more funding. But we do have a commitment to sustaining this. So we never leave anyone in the dark, and we continue to sustain them year after year. But to your point, yes, there's some seed money that takes to build up some of this, I'll say capital equipment for the lack of a better word, in terms of cameras and so forth. And that would be that initial inject that they get in the beginning of the year, and that's what they would get in addition to whatever else they're asking for.
And to follow up on that, for the faith community, I have a newsletter that goes out, and then I try to target every house of worship within the county. And then we have the Office of Community Partnerships that's targeting the nonprofit organizations that they work with, representing Caribbean, African, LGBT, Asian, Latin American, African, I'm sure I'm forgetting one of my coworkers, Middle Eastern. So all of those organizations. So we do our best to make sure it gets circulated and it's not just going to those that have typical access to government. Any other questions?
And when I went there, my legal aid supervisor
I'm really sorry to hear about your experience.
No, it's all office to complain. I use all the office I think I have to use to find my plea.
Well, fortunately, you're in a room with a number of county officials.
No, because you know why? Because of this case, the light say, because they say I'm going to let this picture of the wall, which I have a video, I can show you to no one here.
Yeah, if you could, yeah.
16, she's at school.
If you could spend some time speaking to some of the folks in this room.
I contacted the only person that reached out to me was Jan University. That time, he was taking a COVID, taking treatment. And he said to me right away, get back to me when I left the message.
Yeah.
And she told me she sent 2 emails to Kate, but she never responded.
Okay, so we don't have any City of Tacoma Park officials, but we do have other county officials, and we'd be happy to speak with you. Yeah, I don't think anyone can speak to what happened without having resources to look into the situation. Yeah. Yeah, Director Stowe? Any members of the press that have questions for us? All right, hearing none, we will adjourn this press conference. Thank you all so much for being here.
What is the receptivity? What are people saying to you when you interact with them?
It's been fantastic, right? Because the number one response we get, of course, is thank you for saving me another